I'm so excited to wish you a happy Easter, and I've got some cute little eggs that I'm going to show you how to make. They are so adorable and they're not very hard to make, and you can customize them any way you like. You can download the pattern and make your own. Let me show you how to make them. And I can't stop there. Check out our Easter bundle with many patterns that you can choose from. This bunny is adorable. Little hand puppet or a finger puppet. Find out how to get the pattern in the description. Let's get started. So what you're going to need today to make these adorable little Easter eggs is some felt. You can buy felt by the sheet at the craft store, something like this. You can also buy felt on the roll. This is great because there's usually a lot more colors to choose from. You'll need some embroidery thread and a needle to accommodate the thickness of that thread. So this needle here is much bigger and it has a bigger hole, which is the eye of the needle. And to help you thread it, one of these threading tools. I'll show you how to use that later. For the needles, I like to use like a tapestry needle or a chenille needle or a cross stitch needle. All of those all have a very large opening to accommodate the thicker thread. And they're also not very pointy, so you don't have to worry so much about poking yourself. The other thing that you're going to need is a little bit of batting if you want to stuff these like this. You don't need the batting. You could always just make them flat, and those are also very cute. But I tend to like the batting. I like the 3D effect. They're really adorable. And when they hang, they've got a little bit of weight to them. Next, you'll need the pattern. You can download that for free at SewKids.ca. I'll put the link below for the download. You'll need some scissors and a marker to trace. If you want to embellish it, some beads, pom-poms, buttons, things like that are great to use. Let's get started. Okay, we're going to take this egg and cut it out. Here you go. Now we've got our pattern cut. I'm just going to trace the shape with a Sharpie. I find the Sharpie works the best. I do have some children's markers that are washable, and they tend to smear and kind of make a mess all over your hands. So if you're going to trace, I would use either chalk or a Sharpie. You could probably use a pen also. There you go. There is our shape. Simple as that. I'm going to go ahead and cut these out in a few different colors, and we'll be right back. Okay, so we've got a couple cut out, and I just wanted to go ahead and show you the last one. I'm going to go ahead and cut this one out and just show you. We're going to try and cut off the marker so that it doesn't show up on your finished egg. And just make sure that when you're cutting that you take your time and you try and glide and turn with the scissors, because you want a nice smooth edge instead of long snips like this, which will make it more jagged. Just a little bit of turn, a little bit of turn as you go. And you're guaranteed to get a much smoother edge. But you see how I'm not completely perfect. I didn't get all the black. I could come back and just trim those off. Or I can just make sure that when I'm making my egg that I take the two colors that I want. You can mix and match any color you want. Let's say I do with the blue. So I'm going to find this side here that I've got the black and this side that I've got the black, and I'm just going to make sure that I make those sides touch so that the outer edge of black is not showing. Instead, it's on the inside, so that won't be a problem. Whereas if I did it this way, you would see on both sides that little bit of black. So I'm going to put it to this direction so that we can just sew around there. So I'm going to pair these up. I think I'm going to do the blue and the pink together. The bright pink with the yellow, That'll be fun. And then the bright blue and the purple together. And again, I'm just going to look for what side had the marker. I'm going to make sure that that is going to be on the inside. This one here, I've actually done a really good job. I see a little bit of black. That's the side that I'm going to hide. Like I said, you can go back and you can trim it, but you might end up getting smaller and smaller, and that might cause a problem with your overall size. So just take, if you've got a little bit of marker, just make sure to put them towards the inside, and we're going to sew like that, and then you won't see it. Okay, so here's a couple of colors that we're going to go ahead and get started with. Okay, it's time to choose thread colors. You really can't go wrong with picking a color. The idea is just mixing and matching and having lots of fun. So we've got a couple of different options. I could go with the pink and yellow and do a bright purple. I can throw some white in there, just really have some fun. I think I'm going to do the blue and pink with this pastel rainbow one. I think that'll be great. I'm going to go ahead and do this one with this rainbow one. It's got similar colors and I think it'll blend in really nicely. I like when they have a bit of contrast. This one here is really bright and fun. I think, I could do a yellow, which would be great, or an orange. I might have to think about this one. Let's see. Let's get started. Okay, I'm going to start with the pink and yellow. So I've gone and chosen this thread, which I'm excited to use. So you're going to need enough to go around the egg. And remember, we're stitching it, so it's going to take a little bit more thread. So I would say about 40 inches will be plenty to go around. You don't want to run out midway because then that causes trouble. You have to put a knot, start over. So it's better just to have a long enough thread to begin with, and this way you'll have less trouble. So we're going to go ahead and mark that off and cut it. So about 40 inches will be plenty for this egg. Now I'm only doing one layer of thread going around, just like you see in this one here. It's just one layer. If you wanted to double up your thread, then of course double the length, and you'll have a much thicker thread band as you're going across. But I'm fine with a single layer, and it's easier sometimes to go with the one layer. So first thing you're going to need is to find yourself a needle that can accommodate the size of this thread, and you want to snip it so that you can get it through. You can moisten the edge and put it through. But you see, sometimes this went in right away, but you see how there's multiple little threads here that can kind of fray out. When you're trying to thread the needle, sometimes it can fray out and it's hard to get it in. You might get some of them and some of them not in. So if you're having trouble, go ahead and use something like this. You put it through the needle hole and then feed that through this little loop like that, and then pull through. Once you've pulled through, you can take it out of the loop, and then you're done with that. Now I've got my full length here. So like I said, I'm only going to do a single layer, so I'm only going to pull this a little ways just so that I can hold on to it. But I'm not going to attach the two ends. I'm going to keep it single. So the next thing I want to do is put a knot in my thread. I wrap mine around my finger and I just slide it and roll and pull and make a knot like that. Okay? And I do have some videos, a video series that has all the different hand stitching and help on how to do the knots and threading. So this video, I'm just going to go a little bit faster just to show you specifically how to make this egg. So what we want to do is we want to start at the very top of the egg, the pointiest part, because we're going to make a bit of a tassel to tie. Okay, so I like to go in one side from the inside. so that I can hide my knot. That knot doesn't need to be seen, and I'll just do this. Get it in place. If you really want, you can pin this in place, but I find that felt is quite easy to work with, and just holding it in place and you can shift it as you go will work out just fine. There are several different kinds of stitches that you could do for this that would look great. We have just a plain running stitch. You could do a blanket stitch, or you could do a whip stitch like this. This is an example here of what we've done with a whip stitch. And another option could be a back stitch where it's more continuous. So you can find, I have a series of hand sewing stitches videos that will show you how to do these. So I'll link it to the video, and you can go through and choose whichever stitch you would like for this project. It is up to you completely. I have done a few with the whip stitch, which I really like, but I'm going to do this one as the blanket stitch, I think, just to change it up a little. So I'm going to come in through here and go across. I'm really going to love this thread. The contrast is going to be great. So I come like this, and I'm going to loop through here to begin, and I'm just going to go through this quickly so you can see the video on blanket stitch and spend more time with that there. So just before this loops, I'm going to capture this, and that will be the start of my blanket stitch. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'm making sure not to go too far in. About 1/4 inch is enough. I'm going to space them out just a little bit, like that. And just try and be consistent, try and do the same spacing throughout. Pulling through, and just before the loop gets closed, I'm going to feed that through. Again, I'm going a little bit fast on this one, so I suggest going to the little mini series that I have of hand stitches, and I'll go much slower and in detail, and you can see the whole process. For this, I'm going to skip ahead and show you what to do next. Okay, so I'm going to stop here, and like this, you can completely leave your egg nice and flat and just continue on. But if you want to stuff it and make it 3D, cushiony, then you're going to need to stuff it at this point. So get your batting and open this little hole here. Use your finger just to open it up a bit, and you're just going to put it in little by little because it is a small hole. So just feed it through with your finger. I find a really good tool to use is a pencil with an eraser at the end. That works really well. Chopstick can work. Little children's fingers are really great. My kids help me stuff things with their tiny little fingers. So you want to make sure that you put enough in so that it's nice and plump. So a good handful works pretty well. I think we're probably pretty good there. I don't know that I need all of this. I think we can fit it. Yeah, let's do it. So what you're going to do is just push it all the way in like that. Make sure you get it all to the edges. See how beautiful this blanket stitch is? And I'm really loving the threads because it changes up the pattern. So this blanket stitch, what happens is it attaches both sides, but it runs along the edge, so it adds a nice little decorative detail there. So So now that we've got that in, I'm just going to push that in a little bit deeper and just hold the rest of the fabric pinched together without any filling in it. So the filling is behind here and this part is still flat. And then I'm just going to continue on with the stitch. Same as before. Pull that through, get it through the loop. Now it might be a little bit hard if you stuff it really large like this, but just try and keep it in your hand. You can put a pin in if you need to, but if you go slowly, you should be able to hold it in place and sew. Couple more stitches and we're done. Okay, as I'm just about to finish, just coming close to my stitch here, and you'll see I'm at the beginning. I'm going to go right back into the same spot that I went for my first stitch, thereabouts. Doesn't have to be perfect. And I pull that through like this. Now, if you want to go ahead and add a bead up top or some knots, you can do that. I think I'll add a bead. Just going to add a length for how long I want the hook to be. And I'm going to sew this back in like this. Let's say I want it to be like this. So I'm going to pull that through here. Make sure I hold that in place, and I'm just going to go right inside. Make a knot. And just hide that knot inside for now. Pull that through over here. So that's tucked inside. And then I'm just going to snip this end. And there you go. You've got your loop here. It's a little bit flimsy right now. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and make a knot at the bottom. There. Now let's put it together, and then I'm going to go through and add a star. And then add another knot. And there we go. We've got a cute little egg. Okay, now I'm just going to add a little bit of detail to the front. I think I'll just add some beads and see where it goes. Let's be creative, no plan. So here I've got my knot. I'm just going to slide my needle in here between these two stitches and pull it up so that my knot can go all the way inside and not show. Okay, so now you can't even see the knot. Okay, so let's choose, ooh, let's see, this little diamond looking one. Feed it through and then pop it in and pop it out. Now I think I'll do a tiny little bead. How about a purple one? That'll work. Maybe I'll try and do a bit of a pattern here. put it in, take it out. So I've got this working quite nicely. Maybe I'll do some stitches. Like I said, it is all up to you what you would like to do. So I'm just going in and out a few times here, making a little yellow line. Maybe I'll turn this into a flower. Ooh, I think that would be nice. So let's say this is the center of the flower. So I'm just crisscrossing my threads just to have some texture here. Great. Okay. Now I'm going to jump over here. And I'm just going to pull this through here. And I think I'm done with the yellow. I'm going to make this one really simple. So I'm going to come behind here and pull this through. And I'm going to pull it extra tight, and I'm going to snip it like that so that when I let go, it's going to hide inside. Now I'm going to choose a different color for the flower. Let's go with purple. Okay, and I'm going to put a knot on the back side. So again, I'm going to come in from the side here and hide my knot inside my egg. And then I'm going to just make a fan, I think, to make it look like a flower. I'm doing this one single thread as well, but if you really wanted a thick flower, you could probably double up your thread so you can make fewer passes. Now, if you accidentally lose your thread like I just did, it's easy enough to just thread it back in. And here we have our egg with flower and detail. If you'd like, you can do something on the other side, but I just wanted to keep it nice and simple. Here's a look at all 3 finished eggs. The construction of the egg itself is the same, with the exception of this stitch is a running stitch, whereas these 2 have a blanket stitch. And of course, the decorations are all done differently. If you'd like to have a look at how I made the decorations for these 2 eggs, go ahead and check out the separate video linked here. Be sure to download the pattern for the egg, and if you're looking for some other projects, check out our Easter bundle with lots of patterns to choose from. The link is in the description.